Hello, and thanks for tuning in to the Service Impact Podcast. I'm being joined today by Stacey Abler. She's the Director of Digital Marketing and Outside Communications, and we're talking about how service businesses can dominate Google search with content. But first off, Stacey, thanks so much for taking a minute to come in and talk with us.
Happy to be here, Lance.
Awesome. So we know what Google search is, but dominating it with content, please explain.
Yes. So obviously when you're doing a search in Google, then you're seeing lots of different links, and most of those links are driven by the content that is sitting behind them. So we want to make sure that showing up when someone is doing a search and they're looking for a product or service that we offer, and there's a lot of SEO strategy that goes behind that, and of course a lot of that is driven by the content that you have on your website.
All right, so content. Are we talking blogs? Are we talking? Do we have to go back 10 years and start blogging again? What are we talking about when we're referring to content?
Yeah, so I think it can be a lot of different things. Yes, it could be blogs, it could be different landing pages that are on your website. You can have different types of content. So we can have something that is, your typical blog post. You could have something that is more graphical in nature. You could have a video. There's a lot of different content pieces that you can have on your website. And I think it's most important to make sure that you're able to answer any questions or provide the answer for what the consumer is looking for than necessarily how would you deliver the content, whether it's a blog post or a landing page or a video or whatever it happens to be. So it's a matter of being there when that consumer is searching. And of course, Google wants to provide the most relevant search result for that particular search. But the last thing we want is someone who's continually bouncing back to search again because they're not finding the right result.
Yeah, and I guess that leads me to, wonder. It's like, okay, content, but not content for content's sake. There's a strategy around the content because we need to build that authority and expertise. In other words, a single page is not going to do it. A single blog post is not going to do it. Google needs to see a little bit more from us in order to think that, hey, we know what we're talking about.
Right. So one of the things that Google values is being able to show that you have the expertise and the authority to be discussing that particular topic. So they want to see that, you know what you're talking about and you have the credentials to be able to back that up. But yes, you're exactly right. We don't want content for content's sake. We don't want traffic just to say that we got traffic, right? We want high quality, relevant traffic for whatever our product or service is. So it's important to make sure that the content that you're developing speaks to that. I think there are some businesses that will blog about things or have landing pages about things that are, somewhat related to whatever their service may be that will drive traffic in, but those people aren't looking to convert, right? So just say you have, so you're doing a cleaning business and you're like, hey, we go in and we clean people's houses during the holidays. Let's create a blog post about how to decorate your home for Christmas. Okay. So will that post potentially get a lot of traffic to come to it for people who are looking to figure out how to decorate their home? Of course. Are they looking for cleaning services? Probably not. Right. So we're driving up numbers, but we're not actually having any kind of impact on the business. So it's really important to look at what your topic should be, that the things that people who are interested in your product or your service are going to be searching for, and we're going to build content clusters around that. So if we look for, an HVAC company, for example, then we want to be able to build clusters around, air conditioning. Well, let's talk about maintenance. Let's talk about repairs. Let's talk about what you should do to prepare, your air conditioning for summer. What do you do when, your air conditioner is cutting on and off, when it's not cooling appropriately? Like all the different questions that someone could have around air conditioning. We want to build out topics and kind of a cluster around all of these different questions that people have. But it's also highly relevant because the person who is searching for, hey, how do I prepare my air conditioner for summer? How do I make sure that everything's in, top shape? I mean, my air conditioner is cutting on and off. It's not cooling. Those people are looking for the services that an HVAC company provides. So that's incredibly relevant traffic. So those are the things that we want to do. That's how we want to build out content so that we can actually drive business through the content versus just having visitors to a website who don't take any additional action.
So we've talked about, I mean, just briefly, we mentioned case study, but we've got blog content, but there's other types of content as well that we can kind of pull into these content clusters because, again, it's not just one-off stuff. It's like creating this ecosystem of information that kind of communicates these search terms. It's not just a one-off. So are there other things that folks could do to make these clusters more interesting, more authoritative when the search engines are coming out and looking for results?
Yes. So definitely. So, I mean, I think one of the big things that a lot of people miss out on is adding FAQs to a page. So what are the frequently asked questions that people are asking about whatever that particular topic is? When you think about how people are using Chat GPT now to get information, right? I'm not going into Chat GPT and giving it a bunch of statements. I'm there to ask a question. I'm giving Chat GPT a question that I need an answer to. And so we want to be able to be the site that surfaces when someone is looking for an answer to that question. So adding just that frequently asked questions list to your site where it's literally like a question format and then whatever the answer is can have a big impact on how you're showing up in search. There's a lot of businesses will say, well, I answered that within the content, which is great. And you may or may not show up when somebody's looking for that particular question. But if someone is searching for, what do I do when my air conditioner is not cooling? And you have that question sitting in your FAQs, then you're much more likely to show up for that versus if I just have an air conditioning repair page. So I think it's really important to make sure that you have those FAQs. That's one way to build out your content. We can also build out other things that could make the content more interesting, whether it's, an infographic, we have a video. I think one of the other things that businesses do is that they will create one piece of content and then they're like, got it, I'm done, I wrote my blog post. And they're missing the opportunity to monetize the blog post and to use it in multiple different ways, right? So that blog post can be a feature on your homepage. It could go out in your email newsletter. It can be posted on social. It can, be turned into different kinds of content. You could create a video about the blog post, and now the video can have a transcript. Like there's a lot of different ways to take one piece of content and make it work for you versus just saying, well, I wrote my blog post and now I'm done. And it also pulls all your channels together. So now you have, similar content on your video channel, on your social media, what's sitting on your website, what's going out in email. Like everything's working together and people are continually seeing kind of that same topic in multiple different ways, depending on how they interact with your business. And that can make your service offering and your business reputation, everything that much stronger because they're not just seeing it in one place.
All right. So as far as content, how do we measure efficacy? So we've done all this work. We've created these content clusters. We've got FAQs. We've got case studies. How do we know if this stuff works?
So I think it depends on what channel we're looking at. So if we're looking at website, then we would use Google Search Console for one to look at impressions and clicks. So Google Search Console is telling you what's happening within search, not necessarily on your website. So you're seeing what happens before the click, with how things are showing up. So once you build out this content cluster around air conditioners, then are you starting to show up for more keyword searches when people are searching things that are related to air conditioners? So that's one way that you would look at it, is just from an impression standpoint. Is your position improving in search? But then you also want to look at what's happening with that traffic when they come to your site. And so, are the people who are landing on that, one of your air conditioning pages, are they calling you? Are they filling out a form? Are they chatting with you through your live chat? Whatever it happens to be. So we want to be able to measure that the content is actually doing something, right? It's getting me to the result that I want to get to. And so there's a lot of different ways that you can look at it. I'm personally not big on impressions just for impression's sake. So I want to see that the traffic that we're sending to a site and the work that we're putting into is actually leading to a result, not just a visit to a page and then they bounce back off again. So I think that goes a lot to, how your page is set up, the kinds of things you're optimizing for, your topics, all of that. But, ultimately you need the impressions to show up in search at all. So it starts with that. It's just kind of your high level, but we want to be able to see them, move down the funnel and get to that point of conversion.
Yeah. Well, and what we're talking about here in terms of content, I mean, this is, we're relating it to search, but more and more of the search is going through AI today. And so as we're talking about, Google search in its former way of showing up, there's the AI results, and of course there's ChatGPT and Claude and other ways people are getting their information that is, feeds right into these clusters. I mean, in fact, I don't know that there's a better way to end up in the AI results than to have a bunch of content that revolves around your experience, your expertise, your authority, your trust. I mean, all of these things working together. Those are the sort of things that AI is looking for because it wants to be dependable. It wants to deliver the right result in a single mention of a topic is not what it's looking for. It's looking for the authority to where it feels comfortable delivering these sort of results. So content, as it relates to search, it's probably more important than ever, but does take some serious consideration and strategy in order to make it worth your while and not just spin your wheels and do content for the sake of content's sake. So last question. How does a company or a marketing team figure out what content, like where to start, is it a numbers game, or is it actually digging deeper into the business and finding out where the opportunities are?
I think it's definitely digging into the business to find the opportunities. There's a number of places that you can look for as kind of a brainstorm idea starter. One would be your reviews, the emails that you're getting from customers, the things that are happening on social media, like what are people talking about? What are people messaging you to ask questions about? Those are all things that you could answer on your website. So they're giving you the information. You can use the things that people are searching for on your website. Like, what kind of topics are they trying to find information on? So you can use that to drive how you're going to build out your content. And then, the other is just like typical keyword research, like what are people searching for the most? And I think one of the big things that is happening now with the introduction of ChatGPT and all these other LLMs, it is that people are like, oh, well, I can just go there and tell it to write me a blog post and then I'm done. And that's absolutely not the case. When you're looking at, the content that you want to have on your website, you want it to be unique to you and also to be able to offer some level of expertise or, experience, authority, whatever it happens to be, that's specific to you. So, what can I talk about? If I, am talking about air conditioning, then it's like, hey, this person's electric bills were running $500. We went in and did some repairs to, make their air conditioner running more efficiently, and their electric bill dropped to $300. Well, that's a big proof point, right? And it's something that not, Joe's air conditioning down the street can also necessarily talk about. And so I think it's important to make sure that you're putting that unique perspective into things when you're writing. And it also helps you to show up, right? Because it's not the same as every other article about air conditioning repair. So I think it's really important to make sure that we're putting out quality content or putting out content that is unique. And to go and look at what can we answer that people are searching for. Because if I write an article about something that no one cares about, right, or that no one is searching for, then it's a useless piece of content on my website. And so I think it's a matter of making sure that the content that you're writing is relevant. And one of the other things that we do too is we'll go through and we're like, let's do a content audit. Let's look at all the different pieces of content that you have on your site. What pages are getting zero traffic from Google? And it could be that we look at those and we're like, yeah, I'm not really even sure why I wrote this page. And we remove it because we want Google to focus, when it comes in to crawl the site, you want it to focus on the pages that are really going to drive business for us. Or it could be that we can go in and we can update this and refresh it. So I think there's a lot of different elements that go into it. There's a lot of strategy that's behind it for how you create your content and promote your content after it's been created. And I think there's a lot of businesses that are kind of missing the mark. And it's like, well, we wrote our weekly blog post, so we're good.
Yeah, and I think you touched on something that we talk a lot about within outside communications, and that's this ecosystem approach. In other words, you mentioned content that is unique to you, and it's like that almost touches in brand. And I know you and Shelley work quite a bit on hey, what do we need to develop for SEO purposes? But also making sure that the brand shines through what we're saying. And it's not just a checkbox. If these things are done well, it is a well-oiled machine. It is very purposeful. There's a lot of intent behind everything that's being done. And, so that's why there's a difference. When you go see brands that do content well, you're like, wow, these guys are pretty buttoned up. It's not just the event of writing a single article. This started on spreadsheets long before any articles were written. And there are strategy, these clusters that Stacey talked about. This was all a part of the master plan from the beginning. And then it's, the blog posts, the case studies, the landing pages become a part of the just the execution of the plan. So, interesting stuff, interesting times. And we're heading into it's just getting crazier by the day with, how things are that we've been doing for years are now connected to AI search results. And it's fascinating times. Stacey, thank you for coming in and sharing your wisdom with us. And I'll look forward to the next time.
Thank you.
And for those of you listening, thank you for joining us. And if you'd like more content like this, over at serviceimpact.com, you will find advertising, SEO, video production, brand, I mean, all the things that relate to marketing and service businesses. That's what we do at Outside Communications. So head over to serviceimpact.com and you can check those resources out. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you next time.